And now, as the traveler moves, time itself begins to stretch, not forward, not back, but around. The corridors of time breathe, inhaling centuries and exhaling seconds, and the folds between. Moments shimmer like silk cord in unseen winds. Each step isn't movement, it's realization. Each breath folds space closer, until the past is only the inside of the present, and the future hums softly. Beneath the skin, the traveler senses the world turning inside out. Sound becomes color, color becomes texture, and texture whispers in patterns too slow for thought, but too real to ignore. The air ripples like liquid. Light, timelines branch, twist, and melt into one another until every possibility becomes one. Luminous now. The self stretches too, through the folds, through the distortions, feeling both ancient and unborn. Immense and infinitesimal. Every identity, every age, every version of EIE spins like dust in a single beam of awareness. And as the folds multiply, the traveler begins to see, not with eyes, but with presence, that there. Folding was never about moving through time, but about remembering that all times were always here, waiting to touch each other. The folds close, the waves subside, and what was once fractured now resonates as one frequency, steady and whole. And as that frequency steadies, the traveler realizes that every heartbeat is a doorway, every breath a folding of the infinite into the intimate. The hum of the stars and the pulse within the veins are there. Same rhythm, expanding, contracting, always returning to center. The traveler drifts further inward, though inward and outward no longer mean quite what they once did. One moment, the self is stretched across galaxies, seeing constellations bloom like neurons, firing. The next, it's so close to the center that time folds inward, collapsing into the single. Awareness that this is all time, now. There's a confusion in the sense of motion. Was it movement or memory? Was the traveler becoming or remembering that it already had become? The question folds in on itself, echoing softly until the echo becomes part of the silence. And somewhere between the silence and the echo, the traveler feels that subtle click, like alignment or arrival, though there's nowhere left to arrive. The folds breathe again. The timeline loops back upon itself, bringing the traveler to the threshold where it all began, though beginning now feels more like a continuation. And so the traveler steps once more through the river of light, through the spirals of sound, through the sense that time is folding itself around the self in ever tighter harmonies, weaving unity from multiplicity, bringing coherence to what once was scattered. The folds close softly. The loops shimmer. The traveler breathes, and time breathes with them. And as that soft hum continues, you may notice the edges of the moment begin to blur again. There, folds of space-time gently reopening, as if the traveler's breath itself summons another spiral of becoming. The glow at the edges of awareness shimmers, familiar, though newly born, and their sense of return feels so much like descent that the two become indistinguishable. And as the traveler moves, or perhaps remembers moving, through that golden corridor of time, every pulse of light becomes another door, another chance to remember that to travel through time is to travel through the self. And the self, when unfolded, is not linear, it is spherical, fluid, recursive. Somewhere, the sense of direction begins to dissolve. Forward feels like backward, and backward feels like the deepening now. Up becomes down, then sideways, then softly, imperceptibly, within. The body may not even know where it begins anymore. The sense of time loosens its grip, and yet, everything seems to breathe together, each contraction, each dilation, perfectly synchronized. And as that rhythm deepens, the confusion becomes comfort. The mind begins to trust the spiraling. Each loop a kind of healing, each turn another way to integrate what had once been fragmented. The traveler is not lost in the labyrinth, they are the labyrinth, and every corridor leads home. So, as the folds breathe again, and the hum threads through all possible futures and all remembered pasts, the traveler once more feels the alignment, the click, the unity, the convergence. And that sense of completion, that serene coherence, becomes the cue to begin again. For the moment that unifies all moments invites the next unfolding, the next spiral of awareness, the next return to the hum that deepens, expands, dissolves, reforms, and returns once more to that quiet pulse of being. And as that pulse steadies, the traveler breathes, and time breathes with them, and every breath is both an ending and a beginning, and perhaps neither at all. And as the hum continues, the body begins to notice something gentle and almost imperceptible. Vibration beneath the skin, like the faint resonance of distant stars. It spreads from the fingertips, winding through the arms, gathering warmth in the chest. Each pulse of that warmth carries a rhythm slightly out of sync with ordinary time, yet perfectly in tune with something deeper, something alive beneath the story of seconds. The traveler breathes, and with each breath the space between heartbeats seems to widen. Time stretches like soft light across water, and then folds back, returning in ripples that move through muscle, breath, and bone. There's a sway, a current, a drift, an internal tide rising and falling in a rhythm only the body remembers. And as those waves move, the traveler feels tiny contractions of gravity, as if the cells themselves are breathing the universe in and out. The folds of time and somewhere else, they're within their bloodstream, within the heartbeat, within the small fluctuations that make up the living moment. Every inhalation draws together threads of scattered selves, drawing them closer to the core. Every exhalation releases the tension of trying to hold all the moments apart. The body begins to soften around the edges, as if it remembers what it's like to be continuous with everything that has ever been. There's a moment when the breath slows just enough that the whole body seems to hover, neither inhaling nor exhaling, neither arriving nor departing, and in that stillness, the traveler senses their deep convergence of all timelines. The heartbeat hums with the rhythm of distant galaxies, and their body feels like the meeting point of all possible histories. Then, as the breath resumes, the pulse returns to its orbit, time folding, space breathing, the body remembering what the mind forgot. The traveler moves again, not forward, not backward, but through, the loops closing, the spirals opening, the integrations silently unfolding in every cell. And as that rhythm continues, there's no need to seek the end. The body already knows the way that time folds through flesh, the way that memory becomes motion, the way that the hum of the traveler and the hum of the universe are the same.